Thank you, T-Box Media, for this awesome opportunity. My name's Jarrad Newton, and I'm here with
Henry Pearson in the booth with Jarrad on commentary. And a pleasure to join you for the first time together.
Mate. That's it.
To watch the special coverage, Taupo Classic. Round 3 coverage. The front 9 coming up.
MPO, and we are at Taupo. This is got to be one of the most amazing courses on the planet. Definitely top in North Island, New Zealand. One of my favourites. So, here we are. We're introducing the card. Mr. Willie Te Ratana out of Christchurch.
Willie the bro, he's a good man and a crusher from Christchurch, leading the way up to 2 rounds alongside Ashton Clark, tied at the top at -1.
Woof. Yes, sir. Mikey Yu. Let's see it, bud. Out of Queenstown.
Not far behind, perhaps 1 or 2 strokes back, and finally rounding out the card, the champ, Connagh McKinstry.
Nacky
From the
boy.
Nacky.
Yeah, bud.
He throws a long bomb. All these boys, very highly rated MPO players. From up and down the country, we move into hole 1.
Alright, we've got a short hole to start. Probably one of the shortest on the whole course. One you really want to get. There is a Mando to the right there. And you're looking for a forehand or a turnover putter. That's the play here. Willie Te Ratana leading the way with the box.
That one likely RPM 2E. Willie tends to bag a tremendous amount of RPM plastic, and with shots like that, why wouldn't you?
That was money.
Ashton Clark now, one of the Tasmania 1 and 10 boys. This might be a beaten tactic. Perhaps a little bit of an MD3. But he's left himself outside the circle.
And we got Mikey Yu here. And I believe that is his pig. And he is a forehand specialist, so he wants this one. Yes, mate.
Cheers, guys.
Great shot.
Connagh McKinstry now rounding out the card. He too, like Ashton, one of the Tasmania 1 and 10 boys, and there's every chance that he's throwing an MD3 or a tactic himself. That one a little short, but he certainly made the Mando and he'll have a putt.
Just got a bit of tailwind by the look of that. Bit unfortunate. Looking beautiful out of the hand.
So just to clarify, at the bottom of your screen there, you're going to see the scores, and you'll notice that the boys have started on what is currently their total score through 2 rounds. And as they progress through the holes today, you'll see that fluctuate with each birdie and bogey they score, but just keep in mind that's the total score for the tournament rather than the round to date. Connagh now from slightly outside circle, but that'll make for an easy 3.
Bit of camera nerves there, maybe. I've seen him drain them before. Willie from about 5 metres. High and centre. Lovely putt. Bit of a clean up from the rest of the card by the looks of it, which will lead us into round 2, to hole 2. Honestly, this next hole, man, is one of my favourites on the whole course. It's beautiful. And, I don't know, a little bit technical. Certainly not a gimme birdie.
And one of the first opportunities to really see the autumn colours on display.
Who can huck it the farthest, especially in this kind of wind?
Hole number 2, it's a par 3, 130 metres. Plenty of open space out there, as you can see on the left hand side, but the real key is just to get around this auburn colour tree on the corner. It is a Mando and you've got to play left. And by the time you get around it, it's just a short little pitch up to a basket perched along the ridge line there. Not many birdies on this hole over the course of the weekend, but these boys are the best of the best, so we hopefully will have a couple of looks for the two. Willie to lead us off. This one, likely an RPM pecker.
Does look like a pecker out of the hand.
We'll be looking for a little bit of turn out of the hand to get it up and around the corner, but it does look like it's going to fade out. So Jarrad, you and I were both there for the weekend.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about the conditions on the day, this now being Sunday Arvo, round 3?
It was windy. It was really windy in the middle of the day, and it was kind of real gusty at this point. I believe the worst part has passed. It was probably around midday when it was the worst, and yeah, it was just difficult, but it did clean up towards the later part of the round, I felt. Anyway, on my home stretch, the last sort of 4 or 5 holes, it wasn't as bad as it was in the middle of the day. So pretty happy with the conditions at the end of the day. Not happy with my round, however. But enough of that. The lads are pitching out. We got Ashton here with a great drive. I mean, he's given himself a look. That's all you can ask for on this one. There is a few things that you have to contend with depending on what shot shape you go for. The forehand's there and the turnover shot is there. We'll have to see what Connagh goes for.
Connagh, the third of the lot, taking that backhand turnover line. This one might be
That is a monster smash. He's just
holy smokes,
quite turned it over enough. It's quite possibly the wind has flipped it over as well. It really was swirling today, and I don't believe any of these players have much experience at the Taupo course. So you can see the pine tree in the background there just absolutely rocketing. You know, Willie getting a wind lift there as well. It's not easy golf, but the boys all know how to throw a disc, so Connagh with a great shot.
Willie now with an outside look from edge of circle to tidy up for his 3, and it's just going to go short, but it's got to hold its horses. Don't you dare go down that bank.
Okay, got away with one there, Will. You know, that was so close to draining it. Top of the wire.
Let's just take a moment to appreciate Flickmaster Mike's forehand from the tee to get to this position and drain a 2 on what is a 130 metre hole. That
Yes, sir.
is high caliber stuff.
That's strokes on, folks, right there, Mikey. 2 out of the box. He's coming. He's coming strong.
So Mikey moves to 2 down on the round, and Willie with that unfortunate bogey means we've got a 3-way tie at the top in this very early part of round 3. And Connagh tidies up before we head on to the next hole, hole number 3.
Right, before we get into the hairy part of the course, you don't have long to warm up. We're about to get into the woods, folks. This is hole number 3, par 4, 160 metres. You really don't need heaps off the tee. We have out of bounds on the tournament play here, which just means you want to make this as far up and left as you can so you have some kind of a look at the basket. It's a birdie that you want. It's not often one you get. She's a tricky hole, this one. I swear if this was my home course, I'd be better at it, but I bet everybody says the same thing, eh?
I think you said it on behalf of us all, Jarrad.
Yeah, mate.
Mikey, no surprise with a little forehand. He'll look to perhaps get a little bit of turn on it out of the hand before stabling up at the end.
Oh, wow. And they got beat down by the wind. She is gusty today.
Ashton now with a great rip straight down the centre. So just for reference, you'll see in the distance there a gentleman in a fluoro yellow vest on the left hand side. That area both behind and left is OB. So the boys are looking to sort of bite off as much as they can down this fairway, but pull up swiftly before getting to that bramble at the end of the fairway. Willie to round out the card. This might be his Crowned Eagle Discmania Signature Series disc.
Oh, a little bit of love there. That's how discs make babies right there.
A little bit early in the proceedings to be making minis, but
Mikey's giving himself a putt. That's a great shot. So as you can see here, what Ashton's looking at, I mean, there isn't a big gap, and if you go left or right of it, you are in trouble, son. Okay, fair kick. He's giving himself an outside circle two look, really. I'm sure everyone wants the birdie here, but you can see what Connor's looking at. He can't cut the corner because it's so brutal in there. He's going for a risky shot, and we're going to have to wait and see where he lies. So Willie with the second best drive of the group, still with not a great look. How'd you go on this hole, Henry?
this is a tough hole.
Yeah.
You know, perhaps the coverage doesn't quite do it justice, just to show how cut off that entry into the pine straw green here is. But Willie's upshot there might be testament enough just to show what kind of angle you've really got to put on the disc. But by the time you get through the entrance to the green, you've got to push on a further 20 to 25 metres to get up to the basket. So it really is a serious challenge as we see Connor getting creative for the second time. And
That was beautiful.
nice little save. He'll have a tap in 4. Willie now for a birdie 3.
And we all wanted that to go in. So Mikey with the best look of the lot. Clean. Probably just inside circle in his preferred straddle putt. I believe this is his Avia. And I
Inches shy,
bet he wanted that.
Jarrad, how'd you get on this hole?
Par the first time, and I got a 7 the second time with an out of bounds early off the drive, and then trying to cut the corner through the trees there. So yeah, this was one of the holes I wish I could take back for the weekend, which might have dragged me back a few places in the end.
You betcha.
Was quite tight in the MA1, mate. Just a quick plug for our group.
Heck yeah. We'll talk a bit more about that as we get on in the day. Hole number 4, it's a par 3, 110. This one, narrow as a hallway. I tell you what, the whole way down. This played the hardest of the weekend. 1.22 strokes over par. And hopefully on the card here we don't get to see why, but Mikey with a little flick turns it over and hoping for it to stable up at the end.
So close to beautiful.
Not in though.
And just rejected into the depths of the left, which some would argue is the better of the two sides, but I mean, yeah, you really are rolling the dice with either one. Ashton with an early tree, but he is centre fairway, if you could call it such a thing.
So the manner in which this little fairway corridor shapes itself, it really does set up well for a slightly turned over forehand, but for guys like Connor and myself who perhaps don't lean on the forehand as much, a little hyzer flip might do the trick. That one unfortunately a little bit offline, but so he'll have to scramble to save Safe par. Willie now from the tee with perhaps a Tui, maybe a P Waka Waka.
Here we go.
Needless to say, the boys have got a little bit of work to do here. No wonder it's playing is the hardest hole on the course. And we can continue to find struggle street.
And the trees are hungry. They're going to come and eat your lunch today. Wow, this is a classic. I've been here. I bet everyone who has played this hole has been here before as well. Just get out clean is the only thing you're thinking right now, eh? You feel like you're in the jungle.
And as much as you want to, it's a lot harder to do than wish for. But dreams do come true, and unfortunately not on this occasion for Connagh. Perhaps this is a poignant occasion to plug the MA1 division for the weekend.
Perhaps.
As the MPO boys are hacking their way down hole number 4.
They are.
Jarrad, give us a little recap as to how the boys went in MA1.
I was very, very impressed. I feel like we have we had 29, I believe, in our group, right? And I think that was one of the largest for the weekend. I think there might have been a 35 in the rec, but for MA1 that was quite a big group. And there's some real stiff competition coming up these days. So I'm one of the fellas that have been here a couple of years, and there's a big group of young fellas coming through, Henry. I'd say you'd be one of them as well, mate. Since COVID's come through, all of a sudden we got another 10 ultimate frisbee players and such that are stepping on toes right now, man. There's a bit of an uncomfortable feeling. So Matt for the win on the weekend.
Yeah, shout out to our good friend and competitor Matthew Masters, who took out his first victory on the weekend. And perhaps it might be interesting to know that by the time we'd started round number 3, Matt was tied for 4th, so would have been on the cusp of making lead card coverage as it is. 160 players in the field for this tournament over the weekend. Biggest tournament New Zealand's ever seen. So pretty special for him and for all of the players to, I suppose, come on down. But yeah, congrats again.
Yeah.
Our good mate Matt.
Bloody oath. Very impressive.
So the boys still looking to tidy up on hole number 4. As I mentioned, the hardest hole on the course at Spa Park. Mikey here with a slightly outside circle bid. And off the top of the cage. But they'll tap out. So Spa Park, the course we're seeing today, this is one of 2 courses covered by the competitors over the duration of the weekend. The other course you'll see on final round coverage, which was held at Taupo Golf Course, a temporary layout. And bring your best muscles and your best arm. I think that is seriously long.
Yes, agreed.
So keep an eye out for that one on subsequent T-Box Media videos.
Yeah, it's coming up soon. So hole 5, we have a split fairway, if you would be as generous to call it that. This is one lucky hole if you get it down there. And honestly, there is a fair bit to contend with, including a Mando tree. For anyone that was tempted to cut through into the open field, you cannot do that. So, for me, it was a backhand turnover pecker and just try and get lucky. It looks like Mikey's going for a forehand flip up, and that is danger over there.
That's going to be skirting with that mandatory that Jarrad mentioned earlier, and could make for a real tough 3 depending on how far right he's gone. Connagh now lining up a backhand turnover.
That's not as bad as it looks.
So just for context, this Spa Park course was officially opened at the Taupo Classic last year, 2021. And at the time, this hole had played from an open field into a sort of a guarded green, but at some point in the middle of 2021, a reasonably significant storm came through the Taupo area and knocked down some of the key guardian trees at the gateway to this green, which made for a pretty easy par 3 by the end of the storm. So, well, Haydn, the course designer, and a few others conceptualised this new hole, and they chucked the tee box in the woodline here, and now, what do you know, it's gone from what would have been the easiest hole on the course to the second hardest, playing .44 strokes over par.
I find that difficult. I would have thought this was the hardest, to be honest with you. Great shot by Willie.
Funny you say that, really, Jarrad, because in round 2 it did pit the previous hole, hole number 4, as the hardest.
Right.
So hole number 4 played .33 strokes over par, whereas hole number 5, the one you're watching now, played .67. And Mikey is in an odd spot.
That is a great shot, by the way. He did really well there, because that could have been disaster. He absolutely had to nail that gap. He got a tree he probably couldn't even see.
Connagh now.
And beautiful shot by Connagh.
Great scramble from Connagh. I think that might be the 3rd or 4th tomahawk sighting out of Connor's hands in the last 5 holes. So
it's been a bit of a theme. It looks like he's been practicing it. Boys giving it a run.
And
What's Mikey got?
What a run from Ashton. Mikey now outside circle to save 3.
Go on.
Oh, that's unreal.
Mikey.
Yeah, guys.
Yeah. That's beautiful, mate.
You won't be able to see it, but Jarrad and I are clapping our hands here in the booth, silently.
Yes, I'm trying not to cause too much of a ruckus for Paul's editing. But that was beautiful. I didn't know he was about to make that. I thought that was amazing. I've seen Mikey's putt before, played a few rounds with him over the past few competitions, and he has an amazing straddle. Probably one of the best I've seen live, if not the best. And the lads, with a bit of a clean up, get us out of the woods, get us out of the jungle, I bet is what Willie and Ashton are thinking right now. Had a couple of a tough hole. And what's coming up next, Henry?
Onwards to hole 6 we go, and out of the woods, as Jarrad said. 118 metre par 3. You'll find plenty of space up here, both left and right, before getting to a guarded green with some gorgeous guardian trees. This one's certainly gettable, and the boys will look to at least have a putt under this low ceiling tree here at the end by the basket, but a relief, I think, to have gotten out of what was a pretty challenging last couple of holes. Mikey teeing off first and leading the way 3 ahead of the rest of the guard.
And this is a tough putt. If you're not parked, it is tough to run it unless you are down where Mikey is with a bit of an uphill run. It's very difficult. I've seen many a roll away. So the lads really are trying to park this hole as much as they want it. It's a bit of a bonus birdie in my book.
Connagh with probably the ideal line for the backhand, something that's going to stable up at the end and swoop up and in towards the basket. Ashton trying to follow suit, but perhaps a little bit inside, and
It's a common landing zone, and you're not running it from there.
finishing the card. Willie here, right hand backhand. Again following the Connagh line out wide.
That's a nice shot, Willie.
Beautiful shot.
Mate, it looks like you've got yourself a little run there. What's Ashton gonna do? That is a tester right there. Who's got the balls to run that? I don't know the man yet. Never met him. Well done, Ashton. Good play.
I think it's fair to say if Ashton doesn't have the balls, Jarrad, probably no one will. Connagh with a reasonable run actually from outside circle, and Willie with a gorgeous drive to get to this position. He'll look to capitalise and make up a bit of ground on Mikey.
Yes, sir. That's how you play golf. Keep it conservative. The boys will clean up.
Third of the way through our round, onwards to hole number 7. Jarrad, what'll it be?
So this is one of the changes to the course. In normal play, the basket's a fair bit closer than this, but this is championship layout because we're playing with the big dogs today. So the basket is up the hill at least 20 meters, maybe 22. You can just see the pole here on the left as we come up. And it takes it from almost one of the easier holes on the course to one of the most treacherous. Look at this green, ladies and gentlemen. I was unfortunate enough to be all the way down the bottom of the hill and did manage to save my bogey from an upshot, but it's real down there. If you get a roll away, you are in trouble, son. Willie with the birdie.
Excuse me. I was going to say a graveyard for hopes and dreams down the bottom of that runway. Willie with a nice little shot. That's going to be quite typical really of what you'll see on this hole. The low ceiling with those guardian trees and the uphill rise in the lead up to the basket makes it incredibly difficult to push a drive up into the circle. It'd take something special for sure. Mikey with a forehand.
Wow, Mikey. Get lucky, son. And I mean, that's not a bad kick. He's got a clean look. Sure, it's not what he wanted.
Mind you, still with 40 or 50 metres to go.
You can hear that wind. It is a tough upshot. It's quite common to leave it short and give yourself a bit of a tester. And it really is a testing. I'd say this is one of the most testing greens on the entire course. What do you reckon, Henry?
I couldn't agree more, frankly. It's you've got to have a steady head on your shoulders, I think, to just lay up, take a par, try not to be too aggressive and pay the price for it really. So, but look, we might see something special out of these boys, who knows.
That's not bad. Across the road, he's in the circle, probably about a 5 metre, 6 metre putt. And that is shorter than you would like from Ashton.
That's a bit more like it. There is a slight chance that you can roll away on this hole, but it appears at least thus far the boys have avoided that possibility. Ashton to safe par. Oh, he is hoping that's it down. We'll find out in a second.
Yes, Mikey. Ashton wanted to know as well by the looks of that. He's hustling.
He's still walking. Oh boy. So it did get a little roll away, but you can see that Ashton is only part way down the bank, so he perhaps got
a little bit of luck. Maybe some bark from the gum tree saved him. We'll never know.
He clearly knows.
But that is what the hole will do to you, and it'll take a bit of confidence off you, strip a bit of bark, and all of a sudden.
So the 7th hole played, the third most difficult on the day, 0.33 strokes over par, not a single birdie. And unfortunately, Ashton shows us why it is a challenging hole.
And it's that easy. With a great drive, a little bit short, give yourself a bit of a testy putt, and it's not what you want, mate.
We move on to hole number 8. It's a par 4, Just short 158, but I tell you what, the wind is playing havoc on this hole today, really whipping up the channel that's created by that embankment on the left. You'll look to place a drive in this landing zone at the bottom of your screen now and then pitch up to a reasonably wide open green that does have a slight drop off at the back. Our MPO boys, they'll be licking their chops in the hope of making a birdie 3 on this hole. But with the wind today, it might not be so easy.
This is hands down my favourite hole on the whole course. This is definitely a birdieable hole, but as Henry says, the wind today, you need to have an excellent wind read. So it's tough for Willie off the box. What's he got? And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. He's got himself a 60-metre upshot.
Safe as houses where Willie is. Also wise to note the entire right-hand side that you can see lined by those bushes is out of bounds. So the boys might play a little conservative in the wind today and push it up the left-hand side.
Hopefully.
Mikey and Willie making minis there on the left-hand side of the fairway. Connagh
Got a little wind lift out of the hand, but there's nothing wrong with that. All three boys so far hanging out. It really is a second shot kind of hole. You really can make a play from anywhere. It's just a bit of a tricky green as far as it's got a bit of a slope behind it, and it's hard to run it if you're short. So it looks like Ashton's hanging out too. Lads, I mean, I feel like you're all within a 10-metre circle.
It was a bit of follow the leader there, really, wasn't it? I suppose you could also call it a foursome, but
we'll keep it PG, eh? And that's a bit short by Ashton. You can see the wind giving Connor's disc a bit of action out of the hand. He's just inside circle.
Kia approach out of Willie.
Yeah.
And that one just at the bottom of your screen there, he'll have an uphill look for his birdie 3, which is probably your best spot to be putting from on this hole.
Agreed.
Mikey to pitch up, possibly a pig.
Looks like a pig.
And in a wicked spot, he'll have a look for birdie 3.
Ashton with a safe play there. Bit of a smart layout. It's a tough putt to run, it really is. This basket doesn't look raised, but it's up maybe 200 mil higher than what you would like it to be. And it just, on the hillside there, it's a tough run inside sort of 7 metres. Is the only place you kind of feel comfortable.
This angle gives you a reasonably good idea about how tall that basket really is.
Oh, Willie really wanted that one, you can tell.
Just 2 back from Mikey at this stage, but with that birdie, Mikey will extend his lead and move into negative numbers for the tourney to date. 8 holes into our third round.
Solid start from Mikey. He'd be very happy with this. And
Oh, boy.
sit down.
Oh, sit down.
Connor with a good curl there, as he said. That's I mean, it's so doable. He got nubbed.
Right you are, Jarrad. He got nubbed. Good clean up there to
Yes,
save
sir.
bogey 5.
That's not a bad bogey, Connor. Not what you want, but good clean up.
Ashton,
You can hear that wind, right?
yeah, I was going to say Ashton backs off just as those gusts really do start to pick up, but he settles himself, makes his par.
Don't want to miss that part.
And Willie will also tap out for his 4. And we move on to hole number 9. Hole number 9, it's a par 4, 141 metres. Again, a short one, but this hole, it's all about placement off the tee to leave yourself a nifty little upshot up the hill. Send your drive out as close as you can to this first set of trees here on the right hand side before pitching up to a reasonably open green. The boys will contend with a little bit of wind off the tee and then be guarded nicely before pitching up. Willie leads us off. This one, I think it's a dyed Discmania disc. I can't remember the mould, but it is a driver, so high speed, here we come. And that's kicked into quite a favourable spot there. He'll have a good look up for his approach. Ashton now started on a good line but did hyzer out a smidge too much. That might be the drive of the tournament. If only we had coverage of everyone else, it was a ripper. So Ashton in a great spot for a chance and a look at birdie 3 while, Connor, while Ashton pitches up to just outside circle. He's got this nifty little forehand approach, which I'm sure he'll love, and leaves him with about 10 or 12 metres for birdie 3.
It is a bit of a low ceiling on this one. It's a tricky one to judge. There is a little bit of luck involved, and Connor giving that a beautiful run.
Give it a run, son. How good was that?
Who doesn't want an eagle 2?
Look, if you don't want an eagle 2 and you play disc golf, you can go home. I tell you what.
If you're not running it when you get the chance after a drive like that. And Mikey, yes sir. He is just casual today. That's what you want to be. That's the energy you want to emulate. Yeah, that deserves a replay. That's a straddle putt you would be drawn over, mate.
Look,
What do you think of his form?
As a straddle man myself, but at probably a foot taller than Mikey, I can appreciate how good it is to...
He gets that hand so high with the nose down.
It's a marvellous little
very
push putt he's
impressive.
got, yeah. For
Yeah.
a guy with a reasonably short profile, he's doing pretty well to generate all of that power through his legs, so...
It just shows you. You don't need those long arms, do you? Just perfect technique.
Cut him off if you have to.
Yeah. Okay,
Willie now for birdie 3, and he's going to have to make a couple now, given Mikey's really starting to make a move on the field.
And Willie's putt is also a thing to marvel. Had the pleasure of playing around with him the first round, and very impressive, as are all the boys on the lead card today. There's not a lot of mistakes at that 7 metre range that I find is probably one of the biggest differences between probably our group and their group, is just the tidiness. You're able to just get it when you need to get it, eh?
You betcha.
None of these silly mistakes. Very impressive from lead card with the front 9.
Mikey making a real statement here on the front 9 of the 3rd round. Leading now by 4 after shooting 3 down on the front 9. Connagh and Willie not far behind, and Ashton just trailing off a little bit, but be sure to stick around. T-Box Media coverage. Back 9 coming up round 3. In just a moment's time. We'll see you in a jiffy.